with just a few coastal showers around. Elsewhere, it's going to be cloudy and increasingly wet as that rain continues to make its way north and eastwards across many places. It's going to make quite slow progress, so it will take a fair while to clear away from some eastern, northeastern parts until well after dark tomorrow. But further west, something drier, brighter following in behind. Yes, some showers around, but a bit more sunshine on offer. Worth noting, though, temperatures down a couple of degrees compared to today. Then after a cold, perhaps frosty, maybe foggy start for some of us on Friday morning, there'll be a bit of showery rain coming in before more unsettled weather arrives from the west as we go through the afternoon. So further heavy rain and some strengthening winds as well. And that takes us into what's set to be quite an unsettled weekend. Not a total washout. There will be some dry weather around, but also some pretty unsettled weather too. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
It is 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
Islamophobia is real.
will Starmer cave into an Islamophobia definition? And
it's not just the head of the OBR who's losing his job. Millions of people have been hung out to dry by their budget. And isn't the truth, Mr. Speaker, that behind it all is a Prime Minister who only cares about one person's job, his own?
how much longer can the PM really cling on? And
I work in a bakery.
What do you do in the bakery?
I like serve.
Today, we must announce we can no longer offer formal membership to transgender women from April 2026.
Both the Girl Guides and the Women's Institute ban trans members. Plus,
for this, I got ready for the battlefield. I didn't get to finish my bronzer though because I literally started getting shot at. Like, this is what I was wearing for the day. I can't believe they gave us these cargos for free because they are so cute.
Gen Z want mental health days because they don't like getting up early or working with strangers. Do they need to grow up? And
getting bats and knives and stuff and going doing what they're doing, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way.
The ex-Royal Marine acquitted by a jury in just 17 minutes for his comments after the Southport massacre discusses Lame's plans to scrap jury trials. Easy for me to say. On my panel tonight is the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, landlord and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. And the worst advert in history is back in the news. And what's going on here? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Has Starmer caved in to an Islamophobia definition? Next.
Patrick, thank you and good evening. The top stories. While the King has welcomed the German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier and his wife to Windsor Castle this evening for a state banquet. Speaking German during the speech, King Charles paid tribute to the special friendship between Germany and Britain.
The bedrock of our relationship has not only been in ideas, but also in trade. Merchants and craftsmen from Dortmund and Cologne, who in 1380 operated the Guildhall of the Germans in London, which then dominated trade between our nations, and indeed across Europe, for over 200 years.
The King and Queen posed for a group photo with the German President and his wife ahead of the state banquet at Windsor Castle. Queen Camilla wore a green lace evening gown and she paired her outfit with diamond earrings, an emerald and diamond necklace. Earlier, King Charles, Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales welcomed the German President and First Lady with marching bands and a carriage ride to the castle. Elsewhere, a fiery first Prime Minister's questions since the budget, with Sir Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch clashing over claims the government has lurched into total shambles. The exchanges opened with the Conservative leader questioning who inside Labour's cabinet is briefing against the government and claimed his CEO with Rachel Reeves' record would have been fired.
We now know that the head of the OBR was forced out for telling the truth, that the Chancellor did not need to raise taxes on working people. We also know that the Chancellor was briefing the media, twisting the facts, also she could break her promises and raise taxes.
Sir Keir Starmer hit back, defending Rachel Reeves. He told MPs his government is fixing the mess that the Conservatives left.
She's completely losing the plot. She says take responsibility. Under this Chancellor, Mr. Speaker, growth is up this year, defeating and beating the forecast. Wages are up, more since the general election than in 10 years of the Tories. We've had, I think, 5 interest rate cuts, NHS waiting lists are down, we've had record investment into this country. We're turning the page on their austerity and reckless experiment on borrowing. I'd compare that record to them every day of the week.
Labour MP Marcus Campbell-Savers has had the Labour whip suspended after voting against the government last night. The Penrith and Solway MP rebelled and voted against the government's plans to impose inheritance tax on farmers last night, telling the House of Commons he had to do all he could for his community. He warned in the Commons the changes would leave many farmers devastated at the impact on their family farms. Mr Campbell-Savers was informed he'd had the whip removed by Chief Whip Jonathan Reynolds today, according to a Labour source. And new images of Jeffrey Epstein's Caribbean island home have been released by Democrats in the US Congress. The pictures and videos show bedrooms, a room with a dentist chair and masks hanging from a wall, and the words power and deception written on a chalkboard. One picture shows a no trespassing sign, while another shows a landline phone with a speed dial list. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee said on X that they were a harrowing look behind Epstein's closed doors. Those are the latest headlines for now. More in an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Good evening. Today, Sir Keir Starmer appeared to back a new Islamophobia definition. The independent MP for Leicester South, Shocker Adam, said this in Parliament.
No religion, no theology, no philosophy is beyond critique or scrutiny, and we must protect freedom of speech at all costs. But Islamophobia is real, at least for Zainab Hussein in my city, who was run over not just once, but twice simply for being a Muslim. She survived. Not so lucky was Makram Ali, who was killed outside Finsbury Mosque simply for being Muslim. Not so lucky was Muhammad Salim, who was stabbed to death simply for being a Muslim. I would like to ask the Prime Minister that in opposition, a definition of Islamophobia was adopted. In government, it has been dropped. Can I ask what's changed?
And here is what the Prime Minister said in response.
Can I thank him for raising those examples of hatred in his constituency, and he's right to raise them, and we should all condemn them. Hatred in all its forms should be condemned by all of us in this House, and that includes anti-Muslim hatred as well, and we intend to act on it.
Well, it is interesting that Shocker Adam wants to clamp down on Islamophobia so much. Adam was previously the chair of the Leicester branch of the Muslim Engagement and Development Group, MEND it's called. He also reportedly fundraised for the group. Now, in March 2024, the then Community Secretary, Michael Gove, named MEND as an, quote, Islamist extremist organisation when outlining a new government definition of extremism. The key problem with the new Islamophobia definition is, what will it actually be? Now, the one floated at the moment seems to be by the all-party parliamentary group. Islamophobia is rooted in racism and is a type of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. So what does that mean in practice? Well, on this show, I recently reported on an academic report linking teachings in the Quran to the rape gang scandal that saw thousands of predominantly white working-class girls raped and abused. Would that be Islamophobic? What about reporting on why we need bollards and armed police at Christmas markets? Would that be Islamophobic? Is it Islamophobic to say that I think it's a bit rum that Muslims walk through a Christmas market in Germany shouting about Allah? What about being critical of issues like female genital mutilation, cousin marriage and forced marriage, things that are prominent in the Muslim community? What about raising questions about whether or not the Muslim community is given special treatment by the police? Now, we all remember this infamous clip.
Salam alaikum. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the leaders and elders that have afforded me this opportunity to speak to you.
And we remember the time that West Midlands Police met with members of the Muslim community to discuss how they wanted to be policed during the summer disorder. Would I be criticised as that for Islamophobic, would I? I mean, Shocker Adam MP rattled off a few cases where people had sadly been killed in racist attacks because they were Muslim. And that, of course, is absolutely awful, is deplorable and wrong. But we can't ignore the fact that hundreds more people have been killed or wounded by radical Islamists in Britain. And I worry that by introducing a new definition of Islamophobia, it would just make it really easy for people like me to be labelled as an Islamophobe. And if I'm an Islamophobe, then that puts my life at risk, doesn't it? Why? Because of radical Islam. But would I even be allowed to say that anymore? Or would that be Islamophobic too? Let's get towards my panel. We've got the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. We've also got businessman and activist Adam Brooks and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. OK, so, Mark, your views on whether or not we need this Islamophobia definition and whether Starmer will cave in?
He'll probably cave in, I fear, but we don't need it. My understanding of a phobia is that it's an irrational hatred or fear of something. An arachnophobe is irrationally scared of spiders, for example. So you're an arachnophobe, even if you're not yet labelled an Islamophobe.
Well,
yeah, if there is, but then one of the questions is, when is it rational to be scared of something, right? I mean, is it OK to call out Islamic fundamentalism and to be scared of it, or does that make it a phobia? It seems to me that's a rational position to take. And in the cases of these people were killed, murdered, assaulted for being Muslims, as you rightly said, Patrick, that is absolutely horrific. But the law prohibits that. I'm presuming the assailants and the murderers have been caught, punished appropriately. A law about Islamophobia doesn't add anything to that. It is illegal to kill people for being Muslims in this country, rightly so, and as far as I'm aware, we punish that activity. So Islamophobia, if we brought that in any form of law, would be bringing in thought crimes, not actual crimes. Keir Starmer should resist that, but I suspect he'll cave.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, your views on this. I mean, the way I look at it is that I genuinely am of the personal view that this is an attempt to silence people who have got really valid criticisms about certain aspects of the Muslim community in Britain.
Yeah, look, no religion should be prioritised, full stop. I criticise the Church of England. Yep. Some of the things I've said about the bishops and the church... Does that make me a Christianophobe? No, it doesn't, because I'm allowed to have those views. The only thing with Islamophobia is that this label is to shut people like me and you, maybe talking about the 7/7 bombers or the Manchester Arena bombers. Now, those horrible terrorists used religion as a cloak to kill people. Now, the majority of Muslims condemn that. So it's not that religion. But if a law like this come in, we wouldn't probably be able to discuss their religion at all. And that prioritises one religion over another. So no religion should have any effect on my life, whether that be Christianity, Islam, or any other religion. We just have to have an even playing field throughout.
Yeah, I mean, last week, I think it was, or it might have actually been Monday, we played a clip of an imam at a mosque which was saying just ludicrous stuff, that if you listen to music, that will lead you going to nightclubs, and then if you go to nightclubs, you will sleep with so many women that you eventually turn gay, and then you'll dye your hair the colour of the rainbow. Now, I think that is comical. So I will take the mick out of him. However, under a new Islamophobia definition, I could, I imagine, be classed as an Islamophobe for saying, I think that guy's a complete Fruit Loop.
There's a difference between Islamic fundamentalism and Islamic terrorists and the religion of Islam. I personally think that religion is the heart of almost every problem in this world and has been for centuries. I was brought up as a child as a Catholic, and then when I was a teenager, I turned my back on it. So I don't, agree with religion. But what's the, you can define Islamophobia because hatred is not the right. Hatred is wrong. You can criticise. I think you can criticise without being taken up as an Islamophobe. You can be anti-Semitic, surely, or deemed as anti-Semitic, and that quite rightly should be called out. If you're anti-Islamophobic, anti-Islamist, then that is the same thing, and that should be called out.
One of the issues,
I don't see the problem.
One of the issues, Mark, could be, and it's a very relevant point, we did it quite recently on this channel, I'm very proud that GB News actually did stand up for this. There was a report that came out, it was an academic report, that linked aspects of Islamic teachings with the way that the grooming gang scandal, the rape gang scandal had unfolded. Things like male dominance over women, things like, you know, dominance over non-believers, all of that stuff, right? Now, if we wanted to have a conversation about that, that fundamentally really is a conversation about whether or not aspects or people who have certain beliefs about Islam are compatible with aspects of Western culture. And I'm not sure that an Islamophobia definition would let us do that.
Correct. And the important thing here is not, Patrick, whether your coverage of that report was correct or whether the report was correct. The question is it a legitimate line of inquiry? That's the question, right? So as Nina says, it should be called out if it isn't. Yes, but that's just done in the public square. There's not a criminal offence about it. If you get something wrong that you report on GB News, you give the wrong numbers, you should be called out for it, as Nina says. But it's not a criminal offence. It's an error. And what's being suggested here is that these lines of inquiry, rather than being called out by those that don't like the consequences, should lead to you being prosecuted if they don't like the consequences. That's the really chilling effect.
But do anti-Semitic people who...
It's not illegal to be an anti-Semite. But
if you...
It's not illegal.
But if you espouse you know, if you criticise...
the Jewish religion, that's fine.
The Jewish religion, can you do that without being...
Yes. And there's no blasphemy law to protect Christianity. There used to be. I think it was Channel 4, who I rarely praise, who were the first TV station to have the guts to broadcast Monty Python's The Life of Brian. Prior to that, it was considered blasphemous. Thankfully, we got rid of blasphemy laws. Let's not bring them back.
But Keir Starmer has said that they're not going to.
Well, he was equivocal, wasn't he?
No.
He was equivocal.
Just on this, I think there might be a lot of people watching and listening to this whose views I would like to represent now, which is whether or not we actually need one anyway. Because there's some pretty crystal clear examples, I would argue, of some members of the Muslim faith actually being given quite specialist treatment. We knew that there was one of the police inquiries into one of the historic rape gangs. They said that they didn't want to get involved too much in it initially because they were afraid of being called Islamophobic. We've seen situations where there was an autistic lad who scuffed a copy of the Quran at school. His mum went and had to present herself at a mosque, surrounded by a police officer, actually, to go there and basically apologise to the elders. I've just played you at least one clip there of a police officer appearing, I would argue anyway, to give preferential treatment to the Muslim community. So what more do we need to do?
We don't need to do any more. As I said in my first bit, no religion should take any priority over another. What I've got written down here, if someone went and stood outside a church and started shouting obscenities about Christ, the church, Christianity, I don't believe the police would come along, arrest them and charge them. Now, if someone was outside a mosque and they were shouting obscenities about Islam or Muhammad or something like that, I believe the police would be there in seconds and I believe that person would be charged with a hate crime. So already there is a two-tier dealing with how this country reacts to religious rhetoric.
All right.
There is a danger that there would be a more extreme response to somebody calling out or decrying the Muslim faith or destroying the Quran, because that is part of the religion. That is a very strong part. So therefore, the police would be right in assuming that something might happen.
Yeah, but that's covered by public order offences.
Well, that's public...
You do not need a new law about Islamophobia.
I agree, we don't need...
To Adam's point, if you were screaming either outside a church or a mosque, the police would have to make a judgment about public order. They do not need any other rules.
So which one would they deal with harsher?
Well,
you tell me.
You might be right
that in
practice they're already too biased on one direction. My point is, the last thing you need is another law.
No, we don't.
We've got public order laws, and they should just be enforced equally.
I think we're all in agreement we don't need another law. But
the Prime Minister
you have to understand why the police might be more careful and quicker to respond in this situation because they're more inflammable situation.
I mean, for me, there is an irony here, which obviously has not been lost, and I don't think will have been lost on a lot of our viewers and listeners, which is if you suddenly make it easier for people to be called an Islamophobe, then you are actually putting a target on their back.
Correct.
Because there is an incredibly radical wing of the religion of Islam, which everyone knows, which basically sees anyone who's an Islamophobe as fair game for incredibly violent actions. So you know, by doing it, I'm sorry, but I think, you know, are we able to even call that out now? I mean, this is the thing.
But if we could just ignore religion, I'm very much of the John and Yoko, you know, imagine a world, you know, and no religion too.
Well, it's funny because they got in trouble at the Your Party conference for being played out by Imagine by John Lennon.
Yeah.
And because the Your Party has decided to try to, if you'll excuse the pun, have this quite unholy alliance between large swathes of the trans community and aspects of the Muslim community, because that song imagines a world with no God.
Yeah.
There was some Islamic news outlets that criticised that.
And to Nina's point, I rather respect that approach, that ignoring religion is a legitimate and possibly sensible thing to do. But in a free society, it's also OK to mock it, ridicule it and criticise it, not merely ignore it. And that's the freedom that needs to be protected.
Well, absolutely.
Just before we move on, I mean, I would say I'm firmly of the view that we are, so Smiley, you might disagree with this, fair enough, I'm firmly of the view that we are actually still a Christian country with Christian heritage, and it is worth trying to cling on to that for as long as possible. But Mr Adam, who is the MP that we mentioned there, he gave that speech in Parliament earlier on, he left the Muslim Engagement and Development Group in March 2024 and said, MEND is an organisation which encourages Muslims to participate in Britain's liberal democracy, the exact opposite of what Michael Gove's accusations were. So there we go. Right, all right, well, we've got loads more coming your way, including the fact that the Women's Institute and the Girl Guides have banned trans people. But before we get to that, it's the brand new Great British Giveaway. Yes, it's your chance to win the biggest cash prize yet. Here's how.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, ridiculous new polling has revealed that Gen Z want mental health days because they don't like getting up early or working with strangers. Do they need to grow up? But before that...
women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet.
Well, the landmark Supreme Court ruling happened months ago, but it's taken until now for the Women's Institute and the Girl Guides to ban trans people. But are they right to do so? That's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Getting bats and knives and stuff and going doing what they're doing, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way.
Well, later on, the ex-Royal Marine, who was acquitted by a jury in just 17 minutes, gives his comments about David Lammy's plans to scrap jury trials. But first, are the Women's Institute and the Girl Guides right to ban trans people? It's time for the head-to-head. Look, it's probably common sense to me and you, but it's taken until today for the Women's Institute to come to its senses, banning transgender women from becoming members. The charity will no longer legally offer formal membership to biological males from April next year. And they aren't alone. Girl Guiding has also changed its policy to stop transgender girls from joining amid the threat of a legal challenge from a parent. Now, it comes, of course, months after the Supreme Court ruled that the legal definition of a woman under the Equality Act was based on biological sex and not preferred gender identity. But despite that historic judgment, NHS trusts, councils, businesses have continued to allow trans people to use female-only facilities. The Equality and Human Rights Commission submitted guidance about how to interpret the ruling to ministers back in September, but the government has still not published it. So tonight I'm asking, are the Women's Institute and the Girl Guides right to ban trans people? Going head-to-head on this now are women's rights activist Karina Conway and LGBTQ+ rights campaigner Peter Tatchell. Thank you very much. Karina, can I start with you? Firstly, do you think they're right? But also, I believe that... Did you not have a bit of personal experience with with your daughters about the Girl Guides issue and the trans debate?
Good evening, Patrick. Well, yeah, I have two daughters, and they were both in the Brownies part of Girl Guides. And I was horrified when I found out that they were letting boys who say that they're girls and men who say that they're women use the organisation as girls and women. So I put it to my eldest, you know, this is what's happening. Would you like to carry on, or would you like to leave? As it was a local thing, I knew she was safe, but overall, like in terms of trips and stuff, the safeguarding just wasn't there. And she decided to leave, and my youngest, I made that decision for her because it's a total failure in safeguarding.
OK, well, we'll come back to that because there's a lot to unpack there. But, Peter, yeah, do you think that it's right that the Girl Guides and the Women's Institutes have now banned trans people?
I don't think it's helpful, and it's quite disappointing that they've jumped the gun before the guidance has been published. Of course, you want that guidance published as soon as possible, but I think all organisations should wait until it is published so there's a uniform response across all organisations. When it comes to the interpretation of the Supreme Court ruling, we have Lord Sumption, a former Supreme Court judge himself, one of the most senior legal figures in the country. He has said that the Supreme Court's judgment that sex means biological sex is an option, not a necessary compulsion. He's saying that under the Supreme Court's judgment, organisations have the power and the right to exclude trans people if they wish, but it's not obligatory. And in the case of the Women's Institute, I don't see how trans women being in that organisation as members are a threat to other women.
Well, let's see what Karina says.
The number of trans women is tiny. One or two trans women turning up at a WI meeting.
Well, let's get Karina's response to that then. Let's get Karina's response to that then. Yeah.
Hi, Peter. So the clue is in the name. It's Girl Guides and the Women's Institute. So what Girl Guides have actually said, rather begrudgingly, is that no boys or men can join the girl-only organisation, and it's perfectly lawful. What was unlawful was the inclusion of boys as girls and men as women. It's perfectly lawful. We don't actually need to wait for any guidance because the law is the law, and organisations and schools were getting the law wrong. And now they've been corrected. The Supreme Court ruling was a clarification, not a change. Organisations should have already done this. Boys and men were never allowed. And I must say that the leadership of Girl Guides and the Women's Institute should all resign with their heads hanged in shame. And I think that all of the guide leaders and all of the mums that raised legitimate safeguarding concerns at the time and were investigated when they were reported to the police, they should be given formal apologies.
Okay, Peter, come back to that.
Well, your interpretation is not the same as Lord Sumption. You know, neither of us have the expertise and experience of Lord Sumption.
He's also a man, Peter. Does that matter to you in this sense?
Boys are not girls.
Okay.
It is a lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Just on that. Sorry, Queen. I will come back to you.
Peter, you need to be told that girls deserve single-sex spaces that are for them, and it's a strict code. If you're a girl, you are welcome here. End of. Boys are not girls and men are not women. How can mums keep their daughters safe in a world where men like yourself want other men and boys in on our single-sex spaces?
All right. Let's get Peter to come back to that, yeah.
Your interpretation of the law is wrong. It was never illegal for trans women to be part of women's organisations. Lord Sumption, who is an expert in law, far more experienced and knowledgeable than you or I, has said that the Supreme Court ruling was a matter of a permission to exclude, but not an obligation. And as I said, it would have been far better. Excuse me, I'll let you speak. Excuse me, can you let me speak? I did not interrupt you. Please let me speak. I did not interrupt you.
One at a time.
Can you please stop interrupting? You're a very rude woman.
Okay, well,
you're a very rude woman who clearly haven't got arguments.
I don't care. Boys are not girls.
Yeah, but
and they
be polite, please. Be courteous.
Okay, all right.
I listen to you with respect. Please listen to me and give me a chance.
You're talking about something that's completely...
You're interrupting me yet again. You're interrupting me yet again. Rudeness is not an attribute that anybody should be proud of. I will finish by saying that, of course, we do need to safeguard women's girls, but there's no evidence that trans women in the Girl Guides or the Women's Institute have done anything bad to women and girls. There's no evidence of that. The number of trans people in society is tiny. And
trans women are men.
Can you please let me speak? Can you please let me speak? Stop your rudeness.
Okay. On that note, we are out of time. We are out of time. We are
incredibly rude for someone to shout down and prevent me from speaking or anyone. That shows they haven't got the arguments. All they can do is...
Let's just stop this. I mean, I do think, to be honest with you, whilst I hear what you're saying, Peter, I do think it's also quite rude to want to have blokes in women's spaces. But anyway, there we go. Thank you very much. That is women's rights activist Karina Conway and LGBTQ+ rights campaigner Peter Tatchell. OK, so we've got a bit of this coming up.
I mean, getting bats and knives and stuff and doing what they're doing, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way.
Top lawyers are warning that David Lammy's decision to scrap jewellery trials will lead to devastating miscarriages of justice. Now, I'm going to be joined by that man that you saw on your screens there, former Royal Marine Jamie Michael, who would have been convicted of stirring up racial hatred in the wake of the Southport riots if it wasn't for a jury of his peers. But before that...
To this, I got ready for the battlefield. I didn't get to finish my bronzer, though, because I literally started getting shot at. Like, this is what I was wearing for the day. I can't believe they gave us these cargos for free, because they are so cute.
Gen Z want mental health days because they don't like getting up early or working with strangers. Do they need to grow up? That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The weather's looking quite mixed across the Mediterranean through tomorrow and much of this week. There's further heavy rain towards the east affecting Greece, Albania and other nearby nations. Could see some severe thunder, landslides, other impacts as a result because it has been so wet recently. Other areas will also see some rain at times. There will also be some drier, sunnier bursts, but it's often going to be relatively unsettled and there is a bit more rain for many to come into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Some eastern parts may have a little bit of fog developing again tonight, but further west we're going to see increasing amounts of clouds, strengthening winds and some rain because there's a frontal system that's marching its way in. It's quickly going to spread across much of Northern Ireland, some heavy persistent rain developing here as we go overnight. Rain also feeding in across much of Wales, southwest England and filtering a little bit further eastwards as well, perhaps into western parts of Scotland at times too. Further east, staying drier, some clear skies here, could be a bit chilly and with that, like I said at the start, there could be some fog patches developing. Further west, a milder start to the day tomorrow because of the cloud, because of the rain and those blustery winds. We're talking gales in some exposed spots towards the west. So we start tomorrow on a bit of a damp note across many central, southern, western parts of England and Wales. That rain gradually making its way eastwards. Some glimmers of sunshine breaking through, however, from the west. Also pretty wet still across much of Northern Ireland, particularly towards the north. Some high rainfall totals likely to build up. Whilst northeastern parts of Scotland starting the day quite bright with just a few coastal showers around. Elsewhere it's going to be cloudy and increasingly wet as that rain continues to make its way north and eastwards across many places. It's going to make quite slow progress, so it will take a fair while to clear away from some eastern, northeastern parts until well after dark tomorrow. But further west, something drier, brighter following in behind. Yes, some showers around, but a bit more sunshine on offer. Worth noting though, temperatures down a couple of degrees compared to today. Then after a cold, perhaps frosty, maybe foggy start for some of us on Friday morning, there'll be a bit of showery rain coming in before more unsettled weather arrives from the west as we go through the afternoon. So further heavy rain and some strengthening winds as well. And that takes us into what's set to be quite an unsettled weekend. Not a total washout. There will be some dry weather around, but also some pretty unsettled weather too. Bye-bye.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Getting bats and knives and stuff and going doing what they're doing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things the right way.
Well, that was the ex-Royal Marine who was acquitted by a jury of his peers in just 17 minutes for his comments after the Southport massacre. He may well be behind bars now if it wasn't for a jury trial. He's got views on David Lammy's new plans. But first, well, the generation of whiners, Gen Z, are demanding mental health days as standard workplace benefits. According to a survey by Trinity College London, 32% of 16 to 29-year-olds think they should be offered by all employers. But brace yourselves, because it does somehow get worse. The polling also found that working with unknown people, using the phone and having to get up early every morning were the biggest sources of anxiety for young employees. To be honest, I think I need therapy, not them. But anyway, joining me now is political commentator Chloe Dobbs. Chloe, thank you very much. Right, so what do we do about this? Apparently just working in an office with strangers and phones and having to be there is now, you need mental health days.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's partly a victim mentality and also a bit of a hangover from the pandemic. Now, what is the solution to these problems if you genuinely have anxiety about talking to people? Guess what? The answer is talking to people more, going into the office more, picking up the phone more, and facing your fears. It's called exposure therapy. When I was a kid, I was actually extremely shy and was scared to talk to anyone. What did my parents do? They threw me in the deep end. Every time I went to a restaurant, I had to order my food myself. If I bought anything in a shop, I had to take it up to the till myself. If there was some sort of customer service that needed to be called to fix something, they would hand me the phone and make me do it myself. And guess what? Easy peasy, fix the problem. The idea that if you're anxious about talking to people in the office, you should have more days off the office and you should be able to earn a salary while sitting on your bum at home doing nothing is ridiculous.
I think the wider point here is this is one of the many reasons why our economy's in the toilet, isn't it? Because you've got a generation of 16 to 29-year-olds there who really don't like doing anything that involves communication or work.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a productivity crisis in the UK for a long time. We should be right now doing everything we can to try and make young people, the next generation of workers, to be more productive. But it seems like these young people are demanding cushier work setups that are less productive. And it's going to make the problem worse in the long run, not to mention the fact that all of these young people have absolutely trashed their attention spans with all this short form content they're addicted to, which means they can only focus on something for about 7 seconds and they have to check their phone every 2 minutes. And look, I do think that there are some things that we learned from the pandemic that we should implement into the workplace. So, for example, I think that being in the office can be great for bouncing ideas off each other, but if there's some big document that you really need to put your head down and work on by yourself without any distractions, yes, maybe having one day at home to crack on and do that if you know and your boss trusts you to do that and not get distracted going off for nail appointments during the day and whatnot, then fine. But generally speaking, we're going in the wrong direction when it comes to workplace productivity with Gen Z for sure.
Do you think they'll cave in, though, because we need to get people off their backsides and into work, and maybe giving them the odd mental health day or telling them that they... I mean, the other aspect of that, by the way, is about, well, you know, strangers in the office aren't strangers if you talk to them. Like, then they suddenly become friends or colleagues, don't they? Mm. So, you know, there is a way around that, isn't there? But do you think the bosses will cave in? They'll say, look, we need to be offering all of this now. I mean, there's some companies in this building that appear, they've got a larger games room than anything I've ever seen. You never see anyone else in the office.
Yes, I've seen it. It looks like some sort of fun park.
The only time I've ever seen these rooms full, seriously, is when there's some kind of, like, pride event on, and then the office is suddenly full upstairs of all these different companies. They're never here normally. But, you know, maybe they need to do this to entice people back to work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of workplaces, they are finding it really difficult to get people to actually turn up and come in to the office post-COVID. I have a friend that works for Snapchat, and they have every single perk in the world. It's like super woke. They've got free cupcakes everywhere whenever you come in, a free gym, free lunches, free dinners, everything, just because they're desperate to try and get these Gen Zers to actually turn up to work. I mean, it's ridiculous. It should be a given that you have to turn up to work. Now, I mean, some workplaces have given in, especially those corporate workplaces that have really, entrenched themselves in this woke culture. They think it's an amazing thing, but it may be the case, as with woke ad campaigns and whatnot, that over a long period of time they realise, oh, actually we're losing money. But when it comes to the civil service, Patrick, they will lap all of this up. I mean, they wanted to go on strike for being told they had to come into the office 2 days a week.
Well, exactly. I mean, they were doing seminars during work hours and things, weren't they, on things like this. But anyway, Chloe, thank you very much. Absolute pleasure. Chloe Dobbs there, political commentator. Coming up at 10 p.m. now, how much longer can Sir Keir Starmer really cling on? I'm going to reveal damning new details about another lie in the Chancellor's shambolic budget, and I'm going to reveal what's going on here. But next, an ex-Royal Marine who almost definitely would be in prison now if it wasn't for a jury of his peers. He gets stuck in to David Lammy.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. So coming up, I will unveil yet another lie in the Chancellor's budget. But first, the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, has been warned that his decision to scrap jury trials in all but the most serious cases could lead to devastating miscarriages of justice. Under these proposals, jury trials for crimes in England and Wales that are likely to result in sentences of less than 3 years will be scrapped, and judges will instead rule on those cases. But top lawyers have warned, of course, that this will lead to errors. Now, take a look at Jamie Michael. He's a 46-year-old former Royal Marine. His life was turned upside down, and he was hauled through the courts simply for posting a social media video criticising the Labour government and immigration policy in the aftermath of the Southport massacre.
And I warned that this type of thing was going to start happening. We, as a community, should not let any of these type people into our valley, OK? We shouldn't let any of these migrants who've just come into the country, OK, settle you in the valleys.
But it took a jury of his peers just 17 minutes to acquit him of racial hatred. Part of me is quite surprised it took them that long, actually. But it's a scary thought, isn't it? What would have happened if his case went straight to a left-wing judge? Well, joining me now is Jamie Michael himself. Jamie, thank you very much. Tremendous to see you, mate. Great to see you keeping well. So, do you think he'd be in prison now if it wasn't for a jury, possibly?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just on my experience with the first two judges, even the first judge in the magistrates' court wouldn't even let me speak because there was errors. The name of my video was "This Is What I Think," and they put it down as "This Is What I Believe," and I put my hand up to say that was wrong. And there was also errors on the transcript as well, and the transcript read that I started a riot en masse, where I said they started a riot en masse, and the actual video my actual video that was in the portal for the evidence wouldn't work. It was buffering all the time, so they were going off a transcript that was incorrect, and actually in that transcript it said that I had started a riot en masse, and then sorry, and then the judge wouldn't let me speak to kind of correct any of that, and told me this wasn't a place for me to speak, and then remanded me in jail. So I just really didn't have
nuts. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, obviously, I can kind of like smirk about it a bit now because you're out and about and you're found not guilty and all of that. But I mean, honestly, so when you see this plan now to scrap jury trials in all but the most serious cases, how do you feel about that? Are you concerned about it?
I just think it's just another way of them taking our rights away again. They're trying to chip away at our free speech with all this hate crime nonsense, and that's probably half the reason why a lot of these cases are stacking up. I mean, they're just ridiculous. People shouldn't be in jail for what they say, unless they making direct threats to kill and stuff like that, which I didn't. I was just basically trying to call for security on schools and parks after what happened in Southport incident. Yeah.
And just on this, I mean, apart from the obvious, which is that you would currently be in prison, but how else would it have impacted your life? You know, I mean, presumably, once you've got a criminal record and you've been behind bars for a bit, I mean, that would have had knock-on effects to your life, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I could have lost my house. My little girl's mental health would have been wrecked. In the 3 weeks I was in prison, she's autistic, and I've never been away from her for more than a couple of days. And my parents live away, and we we look after each other, really. Me, my missus, and my little girl. I got two little girls, but my youngest is autistic, and we haven't really got that much help. So taking me away really meant a big difference. And that would have meant my missus having to survive on her own as well, paying all the bills and paying the mortgage and everything else. And like I said, we probably would have lost our house. And my little girl, I think it would have really kind of destroyed her. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's just ridiculous. It's scary, really, and I think it's just another attack on free speech, because we know the majority of these cases have been even people have been found guilty have been under 3 years. So that's the kind of people they're going to be targeting. It's just another attack on free speech, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, quite. I mean, it is worth mentioning as well, and this has been reported before, and you mentioned this last time I interviewed you. I don't want you to name any names here at all, but you were actually reported to the police by a Labour member of staff, weren't you?
Yeah. Am I allowed to say a name? Because I don't mind saying.
I'd probably prefer it if you didn't. But I mean, the point I'm trying to get at there is that basically you were reported to police by a member of a political party. That political party is now the same party that wants to do away with jury trials, like in the case that you would have been heard and you would have been banged up behind bars. And that, I think, many people would regard as a political prosecution of someone who has actually served our country with dignity as a former Royal Marine. So, I mean, it doesn't really get any more tied up in a neat little bow than that, to be honest with you, Jamie. And just very, very quickly and very finally, your message to David Lammy on this, then. Do you want us to change his mind?
Yeah, I just think, who does he think he is? You know, he's taking people's rights away. Like I said, if it wasn't for me having a jury trial, I probably would have been in jail, because, you know, there are some... We know now that there is, you know, two-tier justice going on, as well as the two-tier policing. And if that's all you need is a woke leftist judge planted in front of you for if you've done anything wrong, and then you're in trouble.
You banged up. Jamie, look, thank you. Great to see you. All right, mate. Take care. Jamie Michael there. Right, I just will say that obviously David Lammy's view on this is that we need to clear the backlog somehow and that the Tories let the justice system go to rack and ruin, and that's why we need to do all of this stuff. But coming up at 10 p.m, how much longer can Keir Starmer really cling on? He was hammered in Parliament. And what went on here? I'll have all of that and all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages for you as well in just a few minutes' time.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Some eastern parts may have a little bit of fog developing again tonight, but further west we're going to see increasing amounts of clouds, strengthening winds and some rain because there's a frontal system that's marching its way in. It's quickly going to spread across much of Northern Ireland, some heavy persistent rain developing here as we go overnight. Rain also feeding in across much of Wales, southwest England and filtering a little bit further eastwards as well, perhaps into western parts of Scotland at times too. Further east, staying drier, some clear skies here, could be a bit chilly, and with that, like I said at the start, there could be some fog patches developing. Further west, a milder start to the day tomorrow because of the cloud, because of the rain and those blustery winds. We're talking gales in some exposed spots towards the west. So we start tomorrow on a bit of a damp note across many central, southern, western parts of England and Wales. That rain gradually making its way eastwards. Some glimmers of sunshine breaking through, however, from the west. Also pretty wet still across much of Northern Ireland, particularly towards the north. Some high rainfall totals likely to build up, whilst northeastern parts of Scotland starting the day quite bright with just a few coastal showers around. Elsewhere it's going to be cloudy and increasingly wet as that rain continues to make its way north and eastwards across many places. It's going to make quite slow progress, so it will take a fair while to clear away from some eastern, northeastern parts until well after dark tomorrow. But further west, something drier, brighter following in behind. Yes, some showers around, but a bit more sunshine on offer. Worth noting though, temperatures down a couple of degrees compared to today. Then after a cold, perhaps frosty, maybe foggy start for some of us on Friday morning, there'll be a bit of showery rain coming in before more unsettled weather arrives from the west as we go through the afternoon. So further heavy rain and some strengthening winds as well. And that takes us into what's set to be quite an unsettled weekend. Not a total washout. There will be some dry weather around, but also some pretty unsettled weather too. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the greatest cash prize of a Great British giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
it's not just the head of the OBR who's losing his job. Millions of people have been hung out to dry by their budget. And isn't the truth, Mr. Speaker, that behind it all is a Prime Minister who only cares about one person's job, his own?
how much longer can the PM really cling on? And
you? I work in a bakery.
What do you do in the bakery?
I like serve.
Today, we must announce we can no longer offer formal membership to transgender women from April 2026.
Both the Girl Guides and the Women's Institute ban trans members. Plus, breaking news on the front page of The Eye. Russian spies are secretly entering the UK on cargo ships. So we've got a small boats crisis, now we've got a cargo ships crisis as well. On my panel tonight, we have got the director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, landlord and activist Adam Brooks, and the journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. And the worst advert in history is back in the news. And I'll reveal what's going on here. What's in the bag? What's in the bag? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. There's been another lie in the budget. Next.
Good evening. The top stories at 10 o'clock. King Charles has hosted German President and his wife at a glittering Christmassy state banquet at Windsor Castle this evening. Speaking German during the speech, King Charles paid tribute to the special friendship between Germany and Britain.
The bedrock of our relationship has not only been in ideas, but also in trade. Merchants and craftsmen from Dortmund and Cologne, who in 1380 operated the Guildhall of the Germans in London, which then dominated trade between our nations, and indeed across Europe, for over 200 years.
The King and Queen posed for a group photo with the German President and his wife ahead of the banquet. Queen Camilla wore a green lace evening gown. She paired her outfit with diamond earrings and an emerald and diamond necklace. Earlier, King Charles, Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales welcomed the German President and his First Lady with marching bands and a carriage ride to the castle. A fiery first Prime Minister's question since the budget earlier today, with the Prime Minister and Kemi Badenoch clashing over claims the government has lurched into total shambles. The exchanges opened with the Conservative leader questioning who inside Labour's cabinet is briefing against the government, and claimed a CEO with Rachel Reeves' record would have been fired.
We now know that the head of the OBR was forced out for telling the truth, that the Chancellor did not need to raise taxes on working people. We also know that the Chancellor was briefing the media, twisting the facts, also she could break her promises and raise taxes.
Sir Keir Starmer told MPs his government is fixing the mess that the Tory party left.
She's completely losing the plot. She says take responsibility. Under this Chancellor, Mr Speaker, growth is up this year, defeating and beating the forecast. Wages are up, more since the general election than in 10 years of the Tories. We've had, I think, 5 interest rate cuts, NHS waiting lists are down, we've had record investment into this country. We're turning the page on their austerity and reckless experiment on borrowing. I'd compare that record to them every day of the week.
And some breaking news in the last hour or so. A doctor who pleaded guilty to illegally supplying ketamine to Matthew Perry in the weeks before the star's death has been jailed for 2.5 years. Salvador Plasencia is the first of 5 people to be sentenced in connection with the death of the Friends star, who was found drowned in the hot tub at his home after taking ketamine in October of 2023. Mr. Perry had been taking the surgical anaesthetic legally as a treatment for depression, but also started seeking more in the weeks before his death from different sources. Plasencia is not accused of selling the dose that killed the actor, but had been supplying the drug to him in the weeks beforehand. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more in an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
How much longer can Sir Keir Starmer really cling on? Kemi Badenoch opened up on him again today.
Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister believe that when an organisation descends into total shambles, the person at the top should resign?
Remarkably, he tried to defend what many believe are outright lies about the black hole in the budget.
Mr Speaker, last year they left us with a £22 billion black hole. This year, at the beginning of the process, the OBR did a productivity review on their record in office, and that cost an additional £16 billion that we had to find in the budget. But notwithstanding that, Mr Speaker, we protected the NHS, waiting times are coming down. Notwithstanding that, we got cutting borrowing at the fastest rate in the G7.
So then Kemi gets back up and just says what we're all thinking.
Mr Speaker, no one believes a word that the Prime Minister says. We now know the black hole was fake, her book was fake, her CV was fake, even her chess claims are made up.
Just on that, can Rachel Reeves be honest about anything? She claimed that she was a British chess champion. Well, she's been called out for it by a man who was in the England chess team and was at some of the same tournaments that she was at. She wasn't the champion. She came 26th, and at one event she was beaten by her own sister. I mean, honestly. But Kemi carried on.
She doesn't belong in the Treasury. She belongs in La La Land. They raised taxes on working people. That £16 billion was to increase benefits to protect them from their backbenchers. He now boasts about removing the 2-child benefit cap, but he used to say that it was unaffordable. He even removed the whip from 7 of them for wanting the same thing. He is very happy to throw them under a bus when it pleases him. So I asked the Prime Minister, how did it suddenly become affordable at the very time he needed to save his own skin?
Apsana Begum, Richard Bergen, Ian Byrne as well. We've got Imran Hussain, Rebecca Long-Bailey, John McDonnell, and of course the now very, very famous Zara Sultana. That's right, he biffed 7 MPs over it. Apart from Zara Sultana, they've all now had the whip restored, but I bet they feel totally vindicated for defying Starmer in the first place. Starmer, like a broken record, in response to all of this criticism, just says this again.
They're the same old Tories, the party of child poverty.
Oh, honestly. Kemi steams back in.
It's not just the head of the OBR who's losing his job. Millions of people have been hung out to dry by their budget. And isn't the truth, Mr. Speaker, that behind it all is a Prime Minister who only cares about one person's job, his own?
And then bingo. Immediately after PMQs, another budget lie was revealed. Rachel Reeves, let's remind ourselves, said this.
The Conservatives' eco scheme was presented as a plan to tackle fuel poverty.
It costs households £1.7 billion a year on their bills. It is a failed scheme, and so I am scrapping it, along with taking other legacy costs off bills. And as a result, I can tell you today that for every family, we are keeping our promise to get energy bills down and cut the cost of living. With £150 cut from the average household bill from April next year.
Hang on, because it just emerged, according to the OBR, that Rachel Reeves excluded billions of pounds in wind and solar subsidies from her budget. This will actually add £1 billion to household bills. Like, I wonder how much longer before Sir Keir Starmer just says, like, I've had enough of this. I can't keep going on like this. He should put himself out of his misery and us out of ours. Let's get to the panel. We have got the Director of Public Services, Mark Littlewood. We've got landlord and activist Adam Brooks and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Right then, Mark. So, yeah, I mean, how much longer can he seriously cling on getting the kind of absolute battering that he's there and just, you know, relentlessly saying things like my child poverty?
Maximum, I would say, 5 months. We're probably moving into the end game now. The key thing here, of course, I mean, the public have completely lost confidence in this government. I mean, the opinion poll ratings for Starmer and Reeves and the Labour Party are beyond abysmal. The key thing is, have the Labour backbenchers lost faith in him? And I think the answer to that is yes. When will they move? When will they strike? When will they put him out of his misery? And he clearly is in misery. It's not going to be this side of Christmas, is it? But I think they will be pondering whether they should try and remove him as leader of the Labour Party prior to the May elections, or whether they should accept the bloodbath that's going to happen in the May elections and remove him afterwards. But some Labour MPs are now saying that that bloodbath will be so bad, they will lose so many councillors that they will lose their own foot soldiers who they rely on in their local area. I suspect there will be a move by the Labour Party to remove him before May.
Well, it's interesting, actually, and I'm not going to give too much away now, but tomorrow night there is a very special version of my show. I'm not going to be in this studio at all. In fact, technically speaking, I'm not even going to be in this country. Don't worry, I'm not going back to Calais again. But I'm going to go to a part of the country, or part of the world, where it's a Labour stronghold. It's a Labour stronghold, has been pretty much always, and I'm going to be getting their direct reaction all day and into the evening about what they think of Sir Keir Starmer and his budget and these lies. But, Adam, just on this then, you know, you see him getting this pounding now. Kemi Badenoch's just there, and she's saying what we're all thinking, I think, which is that no one believes a word he says anymore.
No.
That's terminal, surely.
Look, and all this child poverty, like, you know, that he keeps putting out in that monotone voice that goes right through me. Sometimes I have to turn the telly down because I can't stand his voice. He's using children as a shield because, as Mark said, Ipsos have him as the most unpopular Prime Minister in their records. The Chancellor is the most unpopular Chancellor in their records. Just 12% of people surveyed approve of the way this government is running the country. Look, the lies in the budget, he keeps doubling down on these black holes. We all know it's a lie. Keeps bringing up this 16 billion figure. That's been debunked. We know there are surpluses that cancel that 16 billion out. He's picking which bits to put out there to confuse everyone. They lied. At the end of the day, when you lie, markets move. Winners and losers, people have lost money from their rhetoric. So at the end of the day, they have to go. We don't trust them.
So this is, and again, just on that theme of lies, which now, what has been very interesting, I've noticed over the course of the last few days especially, is that when you look at the national newspaper front pages, normally what you would do is you'd put the word lie in quotation marks, and they've basically stopped doing that. So that the dam has kind of broken there on the idea, whether you agree with it or not, I don't know, but the idea that the Prime Minister and the Chancellor basically are liars about certain things. That other one there about, you know, we're going to freeze your energy bills, and it turns out she ignored, you know, billions of pounds of green energy subsidies in the budget there, which actually will add £1 billion to household bills. You know, that, again, that's...
Yes, but let's just see if people have 150 quid off, because that's what she said. She hasn't said how she do it. Well, you don't know that, Adam. You absolutely don't know. None of us knows what's happening. Keir Starmer frankly looks dreadful. His hair's gone completely white at the front, and I heard a story about the Royal Variety performance, which has been recorded but not transmitted yet. And apparently there was an impressionist who did Keir Starmer's voice, does it brilliantly apparently, and the entire audience booed. So...
Oh, really?
So do ITV take the booing out, or what? What do they do? So I don't, that's what I hear is on the.
This is top goss from Nina Mishkov.
Well, thank you.
So this is they've pre-recorded an episode of the Royal Variety Show.
Yeah.
And
that's what I heard.
He was booed by the royal family are in that audience sometimes.
Well, you would think so. I mean, that's what that's why it's called a Royal Variety performance. They've got to sit up in the box there.
Yes, I mean they're clicking the name.
So the man is having a dreadful time. But don't forget, he's a tough man. He is.
Who told you that?
But because of what he managed to do to the Labour Party when he took power.
Well, I mean, he hasn't had to run it.
No.
The word tough has been used very loosely there.
No, it's not. Okay, no, ruthless. He is absolutely ruthless. Just because he's dull, boring, and doesn't have charisma, and he's wooden, and they all think, oh my God, doesn't mean he can't be ruthless. And you know, and he is. So
here's the problem, Nina. He's erratically ruthless. So, Patrick, you highlighted the Labour rebels
7 MPs
who had voted to say, actually, let's lift the child benefit cap. This, at the time, was such an horrific, rebellious thing to do that you needed to be kicked out of the Labour Party for it. Ruthless, you might say. Some months later, it's official government policy. I mean, this might be ruthless, but my God, it's mad. I mean, it's erratic.
Whoever's advising him.
There's no consistency in what he's trying to do.
The thing is,
ruthlessness can be useful in a Prime Minister if you have a consistent direction. He has none.
But then there's another what some would say, Nina, is a lie about that as well, which is that he said he's trying to pass off now that it was always the plan to scrap the two-child benefits cap. And we just know it was.
He didn't say it was always the plan. He says that it was his ambition. It was something he's wanted. And if you go back into
how many angels can you get on the top of
No,
the
but
pin?
if you go back to what he said, he has actually for years and years wanted that.
Look.
So
and a year ago it was enough to kick you out of the Labour Party if you argued for it.
Well, as I said, he's ruthless. You shouldn't dismiss him.
That's just erratic.
And this whole business of lying. That was a word that started to be bandied about on social media.
He's lied since he came into power, Nina.
He has not lied.
Yes, he
has not lied since he came into power. You rubbish the idea of the black hole. The black hole existed. The black hole 20. The very first black hole that they discovered.
Since then they've dug some more.
Let's not. No, but seriously, he is at heart, I believe, a decent man.
I don't.
He is a decent man, and he is. But he's
now go on.
Look, let's just. What is he? 60-odd years of age. Imagine going through your whole life. You know, successful. He's had smoke blown up his rear end all his life. He's had this power trip. Everyone bows to him. He's the top of his profession. And now he's become Prime Minister. And within a year, he's the most hated man ever in this country. How must he feel? He looks a broken man to me. And as you said, he looks ill. Just go.
Look ill.
You're not wanted. Keir Starmer, you're not wanted in this country.
The problem is
every Prime Minister or President, their hair goes white.
All of this, like, kind of, are you lying, or can you just about square this statement last year with these numbers this year, just perhaps logically? But the whole problem is it doesn't ring true, does it? So we just saw that clip about Rachel Reeves saying, and I'm committed to cutting the cost of living. Well, for a good number of households, one of the biggest costs of living is your tax bill.
Yeah.
Right? Rent and tax or your mortgage payments and tax are probably the two highest things that face a household. That is part of the cost of living. She has jacked it up. So now, you know, the Labour spin doctors will come back and say, oh, by cost of living, we mean, you know, how much on your post-tax income, but it just doesn't ring true. No. They have put up the cost of living because they have put up taxes. So if you've got the gall to stand at the dispatch box and argue, we are the party making the cost of living go down, and millions of people, the length and breadth of this land, know as a fact, by looking at their wage slips and their bank balances, that the opposite is true. But you have completely lost
There are many people who are going to be better off. The children that they have
on
lived out of
benefits.
Well, OK, yes, but sometimes benefits are needed. We're not talking about migrants now.
Migrants, people on benefits, they're better off. Train drivers, they're better off.
Can we just leave migrants out of it for once?
No, because they're going to be better off under this government.
Adam, come on.
No.
Let's go to people let's go to children who are living in poverty. 500,000 people, 500,000 children are going to be lifted out of poverty, and that is one thing. I don't necessarily agree with lifting the child benefit cap, because I think they should put it back on in 2 years' time.
That wasn't her claim. Her claim was she was cutting the cost of living, and she isn't.
Another lie.
But the point is that lower-paid workers will have more in their pockets.
I would have some sympathy if she stood up at the dispatch box and said, actually, the cost of living is going to go up for about 80% of you. Sorry about that, but there's 20% of you we've identified that we particularly want to help, and for you, the cost of living will go down. That would be a fair argument. But the general broad sweeping claim that they're cutting the cost of living is an untruth.
It's become the reason why I think it's terminal is because it's now become comical. And that's what's
it's so obvious.
It's become comical. Even things like Rachel Reeves' British chess champion thing, which has turned out to be a demonstrable mistruth.
No.
So
Patrick, I will argue with you on that.
Why?
Because she was British girls under 14 champion. She won a title.
It wasn't an official event.
It wasn't official. It wasn't. It was the women's.
I am
going
to defer, Nina, to the English chess.
To the bloke who won.
Yes, to the bloke who was at the
on a different tournament. That's a different tournament. She won a different tournament that was actually entitled British Girls. It's women's under 14 championship.
The problem again here is that she's got form on exaggerating what she's done in her life. Whether it's the length of time at the Bank of England, what her job was with HBOS, or how good she is at chess.
She's a fibber. Just say it. She's a fibber.
It seems to be, there seems to be an awful lot of spin that she has been more successful, more senior, or more impressive than she really was.
I did a poll on my X account yesterday, and out of 7,500 votes, 94% of people thought this is the most dishonest government of their lifetime.
Yes, but you're living in an echo chamber.
94%.
The people who follow you are all people who agree with you.
Hold on.
That's not
the
proper
approval
poll.
ratings of the government
are about the same as Ipsos and Morin.
They're the same as Ipsos. Are they in an echo chamber, Ipsos and YouGov?
No, they are not. But
thank you, Nina.
Well, let's just see what happens. I mean, look, like I said before, you were seeing it was another kind of comical battering there, but by Kemi Badenoch, to be fair, who's let's be honest,
she's on fire at the moment.
She's on fire at the moment, but she's not always been the best performer, and that should be taken into context. When you see her just taking lumps out of people, it must also be noted that she's missed a few open goals in her time.
Massively.
And for her to now be looking like she's just rinsing them does imply how bad they are. The only other thing I would say, we have to move on, is that what it looks like to me anyway is that this Labour government is now having to spend a huge amount of time coming up and devoting a huge amount of resources, no doubt, coming up with rhetoric and with words basically to cover their own
excuses
to try to just about wriggle out of something, as opposed to running the country. And this is always on the back foot. I don't know how much longer this can go on. Anyway. Well, actually, I tell you what, he might buy himself a bit of time, because the thing we're talking about next is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Sir Keir Starmer's got a new line. It was an old line, but he's rehashing it. He's got a new tactic, and we're going to reveal what it is. But, of course, it's the Great British Giveaway. Now Rachel Reeves can't get her hands on this cash.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, all of tomorrow's newspapers, some breaking news on the front page of The Telegraph. Police are planning to introduce facial ID in every town. Right, great. I'm just finding out about this at the same time as you are. Brilliant. This is another conspiracy theory that's just true now, isn't it? You remember when you were told, don't worry, facial recognition, it's only going to be here? Every town. Every town. Bingo. And what's going on here? Sorry, that has to be an example of the worst security in the world, but we'll come to that. First, though, right, first it was the black hole, then it was the OBR, then it was the Tories, but now the Prime Minister, he's got a new strategy, a new tactic. What is it? Stay tuned to find out.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Well, he went to Sandhurst and graduated, and then decided the Paras wanted him, so he decided to go Royal Artillery. And he loved being in the army. He loved the camaraderie, the spirit, everything else. And he had a great career ahead of him. Went to Iraq and Afghanistan, and came back, and everything was fine. We were so relieved as parents. And then the signs started to be there of PTSD. It was quite a while after he came back that they sort of manifested themselves, and yeah, everything went downhill after that. And it was a long fight for him to try and get help, but there was no help available. There was no one he could turn to. And in the end, my wife and I, we had to care for him, which was very, very difficult for all of us. And there, you know, he was with us for about 18 months, and then in the end he passed away. He had an enlarged heart. He was struggling very much with PTSD, so he turned to alcohol. But as most veterans do when they have this problem, and in the end he obviously passed away 8 years ago. And we had no help at the time, and we didn't have anybody giving us advice or where we could go. And I was with Nigel. I went to Combat to Coffee a few years ago with Nigel, and we got this. The author of the book, Rob Parker, presented this to us and sent it to me. And everything in here in this book was so true. And with us, it was like a manual for us, or a diary really, of what was happening and what could happen.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What happens next at the Ritz? What's in the bags? I'll tell you very, very soon. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages coming up. Apparently there's a bit of breaking news about some cancelled elections as well, which I will bring to you in just a second. But first, the Prime Minister got an absolute drubbing in Parliament today. The Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch, again accused him of lying over the budget.
Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister believe that when an organisation descends into total shambles, the person at the top should resign? So the Prime Minister pays tribute to the head of the OBR. If the head of the OBR had to resign over market-sensitive leaks, why is the Chancellor still in her job?
Now, obviously, he can never admit when something is Labour's fault, and he's used up a long list of excuses in the past. The black hole left by the Conservatives, Reform UK, he just tees off on them a bit, doesn't he? The OBR. I mean, literally anyone but himself, Nigel Farage, you know, just anyone but himself. Anyone but himself. But according to reports in the Times, he has got a new strategy this time, and that strategy is to just slag off Brexit.
The Brexit vote was a fair, democratic expression, and I will always respect that. But how it was sold and delivered was wrong. Wild promises were made to the British people and not fulfilled. We're still dealing with the consequences today in our economy and in trust.
He's gone on to accuse Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch of taking a corrosive approach to Europe, claiming that Brexit has harmed the economy. You know, he's obviously hoping that the new strategy will counter the threat from reform because, you know, Nigel's seen as Mr Brexit, isn't he? Joining me now in this studio is Jamie McIver, former UK councillor for Epping Forest District Council. So Sir Keir Starmer's new plan is to slag off Brexit, and because Nigel Farage and reform are pro-Brexit, he's hoping that that will damage you, will it?
Well, you know, desperate people do desperate things, don't they? Nothing else has worked, so I suppose any idea, even bad ideas, they might as well throw out at this point. This is a Prime Minister that's clinging on to power. I think he's months away from being disposed of by his own party, most likely, and he probably won't be a member of the Labour Party if he carries on because there's such disdain for him. But let's face it, Brexit was a great thing for this country. It's the first thing I personally ever voted for at the age of 18, and the good people of Essex, where I'm from, voted in their drones for Brexit. In fact, some people never voted before, but they went and they voted to leave the European Union, to take back control of our country. And it takes true patriots to recognise the benefits of Brexit. And what Keir Starmer is doing what the Lib Dems love to do, talk down Britain, talk down our economy. But it shows how unentrepreneurial he is. Brexit was an opportunity for this country to rebuild itself again after what I think has been some horrific decades of poor governance. And actually, it shows how unentrepreneurial our Prime Minister is, because rather than seize the opportunity, he wants to jump back into bed with Brussels again. He's a weak Prime Minister with no ideas and no innovation.
It's quite interesting, actually. By the way, I'm going to make a little prediction now, and I think that the Lib Dems and Labour are going to do a pact at the next general election. The Lib Dems are not criticising Labour at all over pretty much anything, and it seems to me as though something is on the cards. We can bookmark this, can't we? And we'll see what happens at the next election. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I do have a funny feeling that I will be right. But I would say that, wouldn't I? Because, you know, it's me. But let's just remind ourselves of a couple of the things that Keir Starmer has said. You know, for all this talk about lying, which, of course, hey, he's not a liar, he's not a liar. This is interesting, though, isn't it?
We've agreed that it must be subject to another referendum. And in that referendum, Remain must be an option, and Labour will be campaigning for Remain. So we have to make the case for the benefits of migration, the benefits of free movement. I want people in this country to be able to go and work abroad. Don't see that, and there isn't a case for rejoining the EU. That means we have to make Brexit work. I'm absolutely clear that we do want a reset. I've been able to repeat that here today, a reset with Europe, a reset with the EU. That does not mean reversing Brexit.
He's kind of flip-flop more than Gandhi on this, hasn't he?
Well, the problem is Keir Starmer would rather cosy up with the European Union than actually his own red wall voters, because if you just look recently at by-election results in Sunderland, do you remember Sunderland? That's when we knew we were going to leave the European Union, when they voted to leave. Talk about not reading the room. And the more he talks about the Brexit, actually, more he's talking up reform. So I'd like to thank Keir Starmer for his free promotion.
Well, just on that note, it turns this is the breaking news, actually. So Labour is postponing a load of next year's mayoral elections until 2028. 4 new combined authorities, Essex, Hampshire and the Solent, Sussex and Brighton and Norfolk and Suffolk, will have their polls pushed back by 2 years. 2 years. Gosh, what, Jamie, your immediate reaction to this then?
My immediate reaction is, I think it's unbelievable. Yesterday, Reform UK announced their Essex mayoral candidate, and the following day they're going to cancel them, or so they're suggesting. But look, Whatever you try and do, you cannot stop the British people from wanting change. They want change. They want Labour gone. They will never trust the Conservative Party again. And keep cancelling your elections. This is people's democratic rights. These are not optional elections. People have the right to vote. And the government should remember that, as should the local Conservative parties that are begging for elections to be cancelled. People died for this country so we would have freedoms and the democracy that we enjoy today. It is a fundamental right, not an option. And this government needs to wake up to that. People's rights are not optional, they are fundamental.
I just wonder, look, we're going to get more detail on this. Yet again, as often happens with breaking news, I find out about this at the same time as you do. We read the first bits of detail on this. I'll get some more information for you when we do the papers in the next section and also in the next hour. But I can't help but wonder if we were living under a Nigel Farage government and the elections were being postponed at this rate, it's not the only set of elections that have been postponed under Labour, how long would it be before the accusations from the Labour Party benches of us living in a dictatorship would come flooding out? I don't think it will be that long, would it? But anyway, Jamie, thank you very, very much. Always a pleasure to see you, Jamie McCann, for that. Reform Councillor coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and some of that breaking news. Yeah, the government postponing 4 mayoral elections. And finally, I will tell you what's going on here.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The weather's looking quite mixed across the Mediterranean through tomorrow and much of this week. There's further heavy rain towards the east affecting Greece, Albania and other nearby nations. Could see some severe thunder, landslides, other impacts as a result because it has been so wet recently. Other areas will also see some rain at times. There will also be some drier, sunnier bursts, but it's often going to be relatively unsettled and there is a bit more rain for many to come into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Some eastern parts may have a little bit of fog developing again tonight, but further west we're going to see increasing amounts of clouds, strengthening winds and some rain because there's a frontal system that's marching its way in. It's quickly going to spread across much of Northern Ireland, some heavy persistent rain developing here as we go overnight. Rain also feeding in across much of Wales, southwest England and filtering a little bit further eastwards as well, perhaps into western parts of Scotland at times too. Further east, staying drier, some clear skies here, could be a bit chilly and with that, like I said at the start, there could be some fog patches developing. Further west, a milder start to the day tomorrow because of the cloud, because of the rain and those blustery winds. We're talking gales in some exposed spots towards the west. So we start tomorrow on a bit of a damp note across many central, southern, western parts of England and Wales. That rain gradually making its way eastwards. Some glimmers of sunshine breaking through, however, from the west. Also pretty wet still across much of Northern Ireland, particularly towards the north, some high rainfall totals likely to build up. Whilst northeastern parts of Scotland starting the day quite bright with just a few coastal showers around. Elsewhere it's going to be cloudy and increasingly wet as that rain continues to make its way north and eastwards across many places. It's going to make quite slow progress, so it will take a fair while to clear away from some eastern, northeastern parts until well after dark tomorrow. But further west, something drier, brighter following in behind. Yes, some showers around, but a bit more sunshine on offer. Worth noting though, temperatures down a couple of degrees compared to today. Then after a cold, perhaps frosty, maybe foggy start for some of us on Friday morning, there'll be a bit of showery rain coming in before more unsettled weather arrives from the west as we go through the afternoon. So further heavy rain and some strengthening winds as well. And that takes us into what's set to be quite an unsettled weekend. Not a total washout. There will be some dry weather around, but also some pretty unsettled weather too. Bye-bye.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health, Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Let's get you the first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages, starting with the Daily Telegraph. Police plan for facial ID in every town. Cameras would scour the entire passport photo database despite privacy fears. This is a huge story. We're going to focus on that in a second. The I paper, Russian spies secretly entering the UK on cargo ships. We've got small boats crisis. We've got cargo ships crisis. The Guardian, bullying culture harmed patient safety at scandal hit NHS hospital. Farage aims to reverse takeover of the Tory party. It was interesting because yesterday the left-wing press was saying that they were going to merge, and now it's turned out it's not happening. And The Sun, sup for the cup. Fans 1 a.m. pints watching Three Lions. Summer boost for struggling pubs. Pubs are going to be able to pour pints until 1 a.m. if England reach the quarters, the semis, or the final.
No danger of that, then.
Well, we'll see. Right, let's focus on facial ID recognition. So, police will be given access to Britain's passport database to catch criminals under an expansion of facial recognition technology that could be deployed in every city, town and village. This is ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, where to begin? I mean, this is building a haystack to look for a needle, basically. If it's access to the passport database, a very good number of the people we're looking for do not have British passports.
Yes.
You know, so I would think, I don't have the exact statistics, that you're very often looking for people who are not on the passport database. There will be a big problem there. And it's just, I hate it when our policing authorities decide to cast the net incredibly wide rather than get focused on where the problem is. So I think this is largely a displacement activity. It is, I mean, you know, I know people sometimes overplay the all-world Big Brother thing, but this is Big Brother who is watching you. That the state will be able to monitor all of your movements, potentially, especially as AI becomes stronger and better. And I do not sufficiently trust the state to ensure that this data will always be used for benign purposes.
Let me read some more on this. Labour is proposing that police could compare photos of crime suspects from CCTV, doorbells and dash cams against those on government databases, including the passports of 45 million Brits. The plans are part of a Home Office consultation launched today to establish a legal framework for all police forces to use facial recognition technology to catch criminals. Adam, are you worried about this?
It's a very dystopian future that we're looking at for us and our children. I've worked with Silky of Big Brother Watch through the Together Declaration, and look, it just seems like our freedoms are being eroded every inch. Now, if you're a criminal, yes, you're going to be worried about this, but the majority of people in this country are not criminals. Now, if they're going to match this, as you say, against passport photos, what happens to all the people that have come across on a dinghy and thrown their passports in the channel?
Yeah.
I feel like it could add two-tier policing to another level. You know, some of us are going to be on a database, some of us are not, and I do not trust them not to abuse it
as well. Yeah. So just think about this. You know, conceivably in a few years, whenever they get round to doing this, if that, you would have a digital ID. Your passport photo would be stored and available for every single police force in the country, and every single town, city and village will have facial recognition cameras to be able to track you. I don't think I want to live like that, really, Nina.
Well, it does seem a slippery slope, doesn't it? But, Adam, really, if we're talking about illegal migrants, they're a drop in the ocean compared to the entire population of this country. So that's hardly...
They're also committing a lot of crimes in a lot of towns, Nina.
Yes, we understand that, but there are a lot more people committing a lot more crimes, and we shouldn't just ignore those, because if we concentrate on migrants and the crimes they commit, then we do a disservice to the victims, vastly more victims of the others.
It says here that from Big Brother Watch, this will turn the UK into an open prison. Mugshots for a giant surveillance database, putting the British public at risk of misidentification and injustice. You know, there is at least, I think, despite the fact that we know the CCTV everywhere, and I appreciate the irony of me talking to you from literally in front of a camera at the moment. However, there is at least the semblance, I think, that when you leave your front door, you're not currently clocked on a facial recognition camera as you go to Tesco's. But
yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, I've got some worries about how CCTV has been misused, but it's at least retrospective, right? So you kind of say, oh, we now know a crime happened at 6:45 p.m. in this area. Let's look through the camera work. This stuff will potentially be able to track the movements of everyone with a British passport anywhere in the country in real time. That's what the state will be able to do if this comes on stream.
But it's just like, you know, I talk about Starmer and I'm against the government. They can turn around live in motion and say, look, he's just about to go in Tesco's.
Yeah, well...
That's dangerous.
Yeah, well, yeah, as long as you don't nick anything there, mate.
No.
Just quickly on this, though, I'm teasing this all show. Here it is, everybody. Left-wing group Take Back Power have left a rather unusual present underneath the Ritz's Christmas tree. So if you thought coal in your stocking was bad, the group have deposited heaps of poo underneath the Christmas tree at the Ritz Hotel. The group are demanding that the UK government establish a permanent House of the People with the power to tax the rich and fix Britain. It's an anti-wealth thing. They're like...
We've got a House of the People with the power to tax the rich and fix Britain. It's called the House of Commons. We've got one. I don't understand what they're complaining about.
Have we got... I don't know if we're able to do this. Can we play it again, but without the sound? We talk over it? Is that possible? Yeah, we'll get to that. So the Ritz, we all know the Ritz, rather swanky little venue. So here we are. So they come in. The guy's just standing there.
Terrible security.
What are they taking out the bag? But apparently I've heard that it's because if you go into the Ritz and you're wearing a suit, they ask if you're checking in, and if you say yes, then they let you carry on.
With a massive sack of manure.
Well, I think it was in a suit.
I bet they're rich or posh, upper-class communists, these people. That poo was probably got from their dad's racehorse, right? That's the irony of this. These are upper-class communists.
You make these sweeping statements, Adam. You have absolutely no idea who they are. You have no idea.
They're not working class, are they?
You don't know.
They're not working class, are they?
How do you know?
Because you can tell they're not working class.
You can't just tell by looking at people, Adam, and make these sweeping statements. You know, first of all, you know, any journalist would check their facts.
I'm not a journalist.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
a commentator.
I'm saying what journalists would. You're speculating and pretending that what you're saying are facts.
Again, apart from like just all the obvious negatives to this, this just really winds me up. Not that I particularly. I think I've been in the Ritz once, right? I've not really. Yeah, it's all right, I suppose. But that was just for dinner as well. I couldn't afford a room. But the annoying thing is, like, now you're going to have to go through airport security to get to the Ritz, aren't you? Because people are going to keep putting poo underneath Christmas.
It's filth. That is filth. I don't want to say.
We suffer.
But the other thing is, what's the Ritz done wrong? I mean, it's just a luxury hotel, for crying out loud. They haven't written the budget. It's just a nice, really nice hotel.
More worrying, as you say, is the security. I mean, back in the IRA days, nobody would have got past the front door with a bag that looked suspicious. Seriously, even if they were checking in.
So what do you think the penalty should be for what they've done? How many months in prison?
I have no idea.
Well, I would say about that. Or I'd take more appropriate justice. You know, I mean, there were a couple of people with suggestions online. Like, what do you do when a dog defecates on the floor? Sometimes you put his nose in it, don't you?
No, well, you make them go and work in a stable,
or just stop them going to Bali on their next holiday.
But
with the rest
have
of
a judge who says he identifies with the point that they were making, and they're upstanding citizens. That's what I worry about.
Well, this is it anyway.
Make them go and shovel poo.
Vigilante justice here. You know me. We can't have that. We've got some more newspapers for you. West Streeting has ordered an inquiry into the overdiagnosis of mental health. Oh, is that just around the cabinet table, is it? Stay tuned.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. every day from 6 a.m.
First of all, are you coffee or tea?
Both. Both.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
If you're having tea, is it herbal tea or is it normal tea? I say normal tea.
Real tea.
Real tea. And is it milk or no milk?
Obviously milk.
Obviously milk. Final question before I read the piece. Milk in first or last?
Second.
Yeah, second.
Afterwards, if you've got a bag, but obviously if you're brewing it yourself, then you want to actually just check that it's brewed
See, I'm from
properly
Wrexham. We just put the milk in, tea bag in the mug.
What?
pour it in, and that's it. What's wrong with that?
And at this point, we stop talking.
It
doesn't brew properly. No.
Well, look, why doesn't it brew properly?
Because it stops the brewing.
You know exactly the right colour to bring it out, and you put it's a builder's tea.
What my dad says.
Well, anyway, the average tea drinker has 62,000 cuppers in a lifetime, costing £6,222. I'd argue that isn't correct.
No,
because it's £4 for just a cappuccino, isn't it? Certainly in London now, at least £4. Most of the money is spent on milk, averaging 6p a cup. Again, tea bags cost around 4p each, and electricity to boil the kettle comes to 2p per day. And one of the top tips is only put the amount of hot water that you need to boil in, because that saves you money on your electricity.
62,000 cups in a lifetime. They've not met my mother.
Well, she's 162.
Honestly, it's every opportunity.
Is it? I think that's nice.
Exactly.
If I'm left to my own devices, I'd have a good 3 cups a day.
Yeah.
Oh,
of tea
per hour?
In the morning, I'd have maybe 5 cups of coffee.
Do you get jittery?
Yes.
Do you? See, I know. No, I'm
What
at the
about
point. No, never. I can see. I'm trying to do my 1 meal a day OMAD.
Yeah.
So I have coffees all the time, you know, and I don't get jittery. I don't think.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Let's see the rest of the papers. Daily Mail, Meghan's father's fighting for his life. Thomas Markle, 81, is apparently in intensive care in the Philippines. That's according to his son. That's a world exclusive from the Daily Mail. We'll get you more detail on that. The Daily Express, Starmer's mission to crush our high streets. Also, Catherine there, Princess of Wales, looking absolutely fantastic. Very, very classy. Then we've got the Times again. You've got the Royals on the front there, but review will study rising diagnoses in ADHD. West Streeting is looking to cut the numbers of benefits claimants. So you go, okay, yeah, okay, fine. I think there probably are too many people diagnosed with it, but, you know, can you imagine if the Tories had done it? The Mirror, now we're going to play you some footage of this in my next show, actually. Inside Epstein's island lair. There's new images and new video footage that's emerged of Jeffrey Epstein's island. Very chilling, including his facial masks on the, well, looks like a dentist chair in there. Very weird stuff. So we will we'll get you all the detail on that as well. So look, Meghan's dad's not well, unfortunately. The Dutch of Suss's father is fighting for his life after emergency surgery in the Philippines. Thomas Markle, 81. He's been estranged from his daughter Meghan since her 2018 marriage to the Prince. I suppose no time like the present to mend that relationship, Nina.
Well, who knows? I mean, the thing is, he apparently lives in the Philippines, so and I had no idea. I thought he was still in California somewhere. Yes, and this is a time when you make your mind up, really, what you're going to do about these things. But he did actually betray his daughter from the start, and that's a very big thing to have done, and that's a very hard thing to forgive.
I think he used to come on this channel quite a lot, didn't he? Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah, so apparently he underwent 3 hours of surgery and was last night in an intensive care unit. He faces a second procedure, and this is supposedly to remove a blood clot. His son is quoted as saying, "I took Dad to hospital close to our home. They did various scans, and the doctors said his life was in imminent danger." Meghan Markle is just promoting her Christmas Netflix offering, has spoken about the importance of family in that.
Yes, and as I think universally got about 1-star reviews, hasn't it? I mean, I'm sad for the bloke. The whole thing's a mess, isn't it? I mean, my eyes just glaze over when I see Meghan's name anywhere on front page of any
The thing
newspaper.
is, it's so hypocritical of anybody to criticise Meghan Markle when you have wonderful examples of the royal family of Andrew and Fergie. And if anybody's read that Andrew Lowney book entitled, you would never, ever criticise
him as well.
There's a lady called Grace that I met at a church Christmas fair on Sunday who told me explicitly to stop being as mean as I am about Meghan Markle.
Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, so Grace, I hope that you feel as though I've been restrained.
OK.
But if you turn off, what we're going to do in the next hour is I'm going to talk about this in the way that maybe I would like to.
And I can't bear her.
Keep watching, Grace. Gosh, you're so full of hatred, Adam. It must be absolutely exhausted.
All right. Loads coming your way. Facial recognition everywhere. The death of the high street. It looks like Meghan Markle's father's in quite a bad way as well. All that and much more. Big newspaper show. Oh, and a tour of Epstein's Island.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Some eastern parts may have a little bit of fog developing again tonight, but further west we're going to see increasing amounts of clouds, strengthening winds and some rain because there's a frontal system that's marching its way in. It's quickly going to spread across much of Northern Ireland, some heavy persistent rain developing here as we go overnight. Rain also feeding in across much of Wales, southwest England and filtering a little bit further eastwards as well, perhaps into western parts of Scotland at times too. Further east, staying drier, some clear skies here, could be a bit chilly, and with that, like I said at the start, there could be some fog patches developing. Further west, a milder start to the day tomorrow because of the cloud, because of the rain and those blustery winds. We're talking gales in some exposed spots towards the west. So we start tomorrow on a bit of a damp note across many central, southern, western parts of England and Wales. That rain gradually making its way eastwards. Some glimmers of sunshine breaking through, however, from the west. Also pretty wet still across much of Northern Ireland, particularly towards the north. Some high rainfall totals likely to build up. Whilst northeastern parts of Scotland starting the day quite bright with just a few coastal showers around. Elsewhere it's going to be cloudy and increasingly wet as that rain continues to make its way north and eastwards across many places. It's going to make quite slow progress. It will take a fair while to clear away from some eastern, northeastern parts until well after dark tomorrow. But further west, something dry, brighter following in behind. Yes, some showers around, but a bit more sunshine on offer. Worth noting, though, temperatures down a couple of degrees compared to today. Then after a cold, perhaps frosty, maybe foggy start for some of us on Friday morning, there'll be a bit of showery rain coming in before more unsettled weather arrives from the west as we go through the afternoon. So further heavy rain and some strengthening winds as well. And that takes us into what's set to be quite an unsettled weekend. Not a total washout. There will be some dry weather around, but also some pretty unsettled weather too. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, apparently there's going to be facial recognition cameras in every single city, town and village, to track your movements. Remember when that was just a dangerous conspiracy theory? Sadly as well, Meghan Markle's father is apparently fighting for his life and there is an imminent threat to his life. I will also show you a, well, essentially tour of Jeffrey Epstein's island, Pedo Island, so we're going to be showing you all around that. All of that and much more coming your way in the next hour.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m.